Hey there, it's me, Ripper the Freaking Clown, the unpredictable cartoon character come life, and I'm here with an unconventional recap of the 2017 WWE Hall of Fame. Moreover, to explain why this year's Hall of Fame is the absolute worst in the WWE's history thus far, and what they could have done to make it much, much better. First, as a lifetime wrestling aficionado, I can honestly say that the only selection for this year's Hall of Fame that makes any sense to me is Ravishing Rick Rude. Now, this honor is well deserved and one that was a long time coming because Rick Rude was an amazing performer, and in my eyes, he's an icon in this business. Rude was an innovator and a visionary who was awesome and powerfully intense both on the mic and in the ring, and he's always been on my top favorites list. Hell, I even do a live striptease impersonation of Ravishing Rick Rude as a tribute. Go ahead and peruse my comedy channel so you could check out these videos. I think you'll enjoy them, but here's the deal. I don't know why Ricky The Dragon Steamboat was selected to induct Ravishing Rick Rude into the Hall of Fame. I mean, come on. When you look at Rick Rude's greatest feuds, does anyone even really remember Rude's short-lived WCW feud with Ricky Steamboat over the United States title? Would they remember the feud with Ricky Steamboat over Rude's intense and personal feud with Jake the Snake Roberts? Or would anyone in their right mind rank that Steamboat feud over the Jake Roberts feud? I highly doubt it. You know what? That Jake Roberts-Rick Rude feud was so relatable that it emotionally involved the audience, and that feud was so well crafted that it lasted over 1 year. Can you imagine the WWE pulling off anything remotely similar today? Hell, they can't creatively make a feud last for over 1 month without it getting stale and insulting to the intellect. The Jake Roberts Ravishing Rick Rude feud created some of the most defining moments for the WWF at that time. So bottom line, Jake the Snake Roberts should have inducted Ravishing Rick Rude into the 2017 Hall of Fame. So while the induction itself of Ravishing Rick Rude is far from disappointing, alas, the selection of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is not just disappointing, it's completely nonsensical. The 2017 WWE Hall of Fame also features Teddy Long, and you know, I have always kind of enjoyed Teddy Long, but at the same time, he's never really been a big favorite of mine. He was just a fun personality, and he's always been very fan-friendly, but I don't know, I just think there were probably better Hall of Fame choices than Teddy Long. So, humor me for a second. If you're looking for a manager to replace Teddy Long in the 2017 WWE Hall of Fame, I would have hands down picked the Doctor of Style Slick, who was always a favorite of mine. And back in the day, I mean, this guy was a masterful performer. I mean, look at that old footage of the Doctor of Style Slick and his promos. That guy was just a superlative villain. And it's really shameful that Slick hasn't been put into the WWE Hall of Fame thus far. But then, you know, speaking on those same lines, alternatively, you know, if you want to eliminate Slick from the equation instead of Teddy Long, what about Paulie Dangerously? I mean, come on. The WWE could tout anyone under Paul Heyman's tutelage that they are being managed by a WWE Hall of Famer. And considering Heyman's history, including being the mastermind behind ECW, this induction would make a lot of sense in relation to his current WWE role. Or again, alternatively to Slick or Paulie Dangerously, how about Miss Elizabeth? Next in the Hall of Fame, Beth Phoenix. Honestly, when they first announced Beth Phoenix, I had to stop and think and try and remember who the hell Beth Phoenix was. It took me a minute to put the name with the face here. And you know, every year in the Hall of Fame, there's an inexplicable induction that you just kind of wonder, like, what the hell they were thinking. And this year, Beth Phoenix is it. The logic behind this Hall of Fame pick is hazy and mysterious, to say the least. And maybe they did this induction just so they can say that Edge and Phoenix are the only Hall of Fame couple out there. I don't freaking know, but the truth be told, it makes zero sense otherwise. I mean, if they wanted to induct someone who kind of ripped off Chyna, why not just induct Chyna herself posthumously? At this point, you know, there have been bad feelings in the past with Chyna and the WWE, but at this point, there can't be many hard feelings. You know, Chyna has passed away and did so tragically, and after years of hating and bashing the Ultimate Warrior, if the WWE can forgive him and strangely revere him like they do contemporaneously with books, multiple DVDs, and even a statue, then you'd think they could probably do the same for Chyna. Or, alternatively, if China wasn't an option, a better selection than Beth Phoenix would have been Victoria, who, along with Hall of Famers Trish Stratus and Lita, really helped redefine the women's division. I mean, Victoria deserves that recognition. Or again, alternatively, how about the aforementioned Miss Elizabeth, who should have been in the Hall of Fame years ago anyway? And it's kind of dumbfounding why Elizabeth hasn't been inducted at this point, kind of like the Doctor of Style Slick. So here's what we've got. Beth Phoenix in the Hall of Fame, but no Miss Elizabeth? You know what? That's kind of insulting. You know what? The WWE Hall of Fame used to be kind of an exciting thing. You know, you kind of waited to see who they're going to induct, and there were surprises thrown out there. But over the years, the WWE Hall of Fame product has become kind of like a cookie-cutter format, you know, not unlike the WWE's wrestling product. You know, every year they induct one female performer, every year they induct one deceased performer, and every year they induct a tag team. And for 2017, to fill the tag team niche in the Hall of Fame, they decided to induct the Rock and Roll Express. You know, I never got into these guys. I never thought they were entertaining, and they only seem to have really, really good matches with the Midnight Express. So instead of having Jim Cornette come back to the WWE just for this one night to induct Robert Gibson and Ricky Morton, why not just induct Jim Cornette and the freaking Midnight Express instead? You know what? Beautiful Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane, Sweet Stan Lane, was a tag team that revolutionized tag wrestling, and it's an honor deserved by both these guys, especially Beautiful Bobby Eaton, who is one of the most underrated yet superlative talents in this business. And if anyone is Hall of Fame worthy, it's Beautiful Bobby Eaton. Now, Diamond Dallas Page went into the 2017 Hall of Fame, but alternatively, if the WWE wanted to induct someone from WCW this year, why not Bill Goldberg? I mean, this is the obvious choice, and this makes perfect sense, people. Think about what the WWE could have done here. Weeks before Fastlane, they announced Goldberg as a part of the 2017 Hall of Fame class. Then, at Fastlane, Goldberg wins the Universal title from Kevin Owens, and he becomes the first person to ever be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame the night before he defends a world title at Wrestlemania. Throw Paul Heyman into the mix as an inductee instead of Teddy Long, and you'd have two Hall of Famers in one mega match. Now, this Goldberg induction makes perfect sense, it makes logical sense, it makes rational sense, and it would have been a moneymaker simply in the promotion of what it meant to have a Hall of Famer defending a world title at WrestleMania. But did they decide to do what made perfect logical sense? Nope, they didn't, and they decided to induct DDP. And alternatively, if for whatever bullshit reason they didn't think that Goldberg and the idea of having him go into the Hall of Fame before defending a title at WrestleMania was a good idea, and they wanted to keep with the WCW theme, instead of DDP, WWE should have inducted Lord Steven Regal. And all of this leads us to the main event for the 2017 WWE Hall of Fame, Kurt Angle. Now, I know many of you are probably wanting to ask me, Rick, man, you don't think that Kurt Angle's Hall of Fame worthy? And my answer is, much like the Rock and Roll Express, no. I never got into Kurt Angle. I never thought he was entertaining in the ring, and every match of his was pretty much the same, except for the WrestleMania match where Brock Lesnar almost killed himself. Otherwise, Kurt Angle to me was just really kind of boring, and I think he's one of the most overrated performers of all time, kind of next to John Cena. Even though Cena is, more overrated. Regardless, however, I must say that I found Angle's backstage segments with Stone Cold Steve Austin really funny and entertaining, but that's about it. And I can honestly say that I haven't watched a Kurt Angle match in approximately 10 years, and I really, haven't had the desire to watch one. So instead of inducting Kurt Angle, how about this choice? And I will probably take some major heat for this, but if you're going to pick a technical wrestler from that era, instead of Kurt Angle, why not Chris Benoit? And I know, merely suggesting Benoit going into the Hall of Fame is controversial, and it pisses people off, and this idea that I'm presenting here will undoubtedly piss a lot of people off, but you know what? Jimmy Snuka is in the freaking Hall of Fame, and we all know what he did, don't we? So honestly, you can't have it both ways, people. And I've never heard anyone else out there in the realm of wrestling commentators or news sites ever make this Chris Benoit, Jimmy Snuka comparison regarding the Hall of Fame, but it's the complete truth. If you say Chris Benoit should not be in the Hall of Fame, then please explain to me why it's fine and acceptable that Jimmy Snuka is already in the Hall of Fame. You would have zero argument. With all the outrage, whenever anyone dares mention Chris Benoit for the Hall of Fame, I've never heard anyone bitching about the fact that Jimmy Snuka is already in the freaking Hall of Fame. Because, and I reiterate, you cannot have it both ways. And all that said, Benoit would have been a much better choice than Kurt Angle. Or alternatively to Chris Benoit, if you're on the anti-Chris Benoit Hall of Fame bandwagon, how about William Regal? Another obvious choice for the Hall of Fame who has been ignored for years, and an honor that would be totally well-deserved. Probably the greatest technical wrestler of all time. William Regal, in my top 5 of all-time favorites. In and out of the ring, he's one of the most entertaining wrestlers in the past 20 years, and someone who is sadly, in my mind, always overlooked and always underrated when it comes to talking about great wrestlers. When in truth, Regal's talent exceeds that of the entire, and I mean the entire current WWE roster. So, either Chris Benoit or William Regal would have been excellent Hall of Fame choices and solid alternatives to Kurt Angle. So there you have it. My suggestions on how the lackluster 2017 WWE Hall of Fame could have been a million billion times better. I'm Ripper the Freaking Clown. Please subscribe to my channel. You better goddamn do it now.